Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, coin lovers and treasure seekers. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating history and hidden value of one of America's most beloved coins, the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1953. Now, at first glance, this small copper coin might look just like any other penny that has passed through millions of hands over the years, but trust me, there's much more to the story. This little piece of history is more than just pocket change, it's a connection to America's past, a symbol of resilience, and for some lucky collectors, a potential treasure worth serious money. Let's set the scene. The year is 1953. Dwight D. Eisenhower is serving as president, the United States is moving through the post-World War II boom, and American culture is shifting rapidly. It was an era of prosperity, optimism, and new beginnings. Television was entering households, cars were becoming more affordable, and suburbs were growing at a rapid pace. Through all this change, coins like the Lincoln Wheat Penny were part of daily life. People carried them in their pockets, used them to buy candy, newspapers, and all kinds of small goods. But even though billions of pennies were struck during this period, not all were created equal, and this is where collectors get excited. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series itself has a special place in American coinage. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin carries Lincoln's profile on the obverse side, a timeless image that continues even today on the modern Lincoln cent. On the reverse of the wheat penny, you'll find two stylized wheat stalks curving along the edges, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. These wheat ears were meant to symbolize both prosperity and America's agricultural heritage, making the design both simple and deeply meaningful. By 1953, the wheat penny had already been in circulation for over 4 decades, and although the design was common, certain mint marks and conditions make particular coins stand out. The 1953 pennies were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, with a D mint mark; and San Francisco, with an S mint mark. At first, you might think they're all the same, but small details like where they were minted, how many were produced, and most importantly, how well they've been preserved, can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Most of the 1953 pennies were used in everyday transactions, meaning they became scratched, worn down, and lost much of their original luster. But in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin that has survived in uncirculated condition, showing off its original shine, crisp edges, and sharp design details, is extremely desirable. Imagine a penny that looks exactly the way it did when it first rolled off the presses in 1953, that's the kind of rarity collectors are always hunting for. But there's another layer of excitement with the 1953 wheat penny: minting errors. Mistakes at the mint, whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or variations in the lettering, can turn a common coin into something incredibly rare. Collectors love error coins because they are one of a kind, each carrying a unique story of how they slipped past the mint's quality checks. A 1953 penny with such an error could be worth far more than its face value. Even in lower grades, and in pristine condition, it can reach astonishing prices. The charm of the 1953 wheat penny also lies in its historical connection. Each coin is a small piece of mid-20th century America. It circulated during a time of great technological advancements and cultural shifts, and holding one today feels like holding a direct link to that vibrant era. For collectors, coins are never just metal, they are history you can touch, stories preserved in copper, and in some cases, opportunities for great profit. Now, here's the part you've been waiting for. You might be wondering just how much one of these 1953 Lincoln Wheat Pennies could actually be worth. While a worn penny from this year might only bring in a few cents, the story completely changes when we're talking about those rare, uncirculated examples with flawless details or rare minting errors. In fact, a pristine example of a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, depending on its mint mark and unique characteristics, has been valued as high as $75,000. That's right, $75,000 for a single penny that once bought candy or a newspaper back in the 1950s. It's amazing to think about how something so small could hold such incredible value today. So, the next time you come across an old jar of pennies, dig a little deeper. You never know, you might be holding a piece of American history that could change your fortune. Today, we're going to take a journey back into the past and uncover the story behind a fascinating coin that many people might overlook, the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1942. At first glance, it might just seem like another old copper penny, but when we dig deeper, we discover layers of history, design, rarity, and potential value that make this coin truly worth talking about. If you've ever wondered whether an old penny could be worth more than just 1 cent, stay tuned, because this story will surprise you. The year 1942 was one of the most significant years in American history. The United States was fully involved in World War II, and the country was shifting its entire economy and production efforts toward the war. Factories were building weapons, ships, and aircraft, and resources like copper, steel, and nickel were being carefully rationed for military use. Every piece of metal mattered during this time, and that included the humble penny. Even though the steel pennies didn't appear until 1943, the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Pennies still carry with them the story of a nation at war and the importance of conserving resources. Holding one of these coins is like holding a piece of wartime America right in your hand. Now, let's talk about the design of this coin, because it's one of the most iconic in American history. On the front, or obverse, we have the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. This was the very first time a real person's image was placed on a U.S. coin, and over the decades, it has become one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Lincoln's calm, resolute expression reminds us of his role as a leader who guided the nation through one of its most difficult times, the Civil War. Above his portrait, you'll see the motto, "In God We Trust," a phrase that reflects America's values. To the left, the word "liberty," and to the right, the year of issue, 1942, which roots the coin firmly in its historical moment. On the reverse, you'll find the beautiful wheat stalk design, which gives the coin its popular nickname, the Wheat Penny. Two simple stalks of wheat curve around the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, symbolizing America's agricultural foundation and prosperity. At the top sits the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, a reminder of unity during a time of war. The design is simple, but it carries a sense of dignity and strength that makes it timeless. Now, here's where things get really interesting for collectors. The 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in several locations, and each mint mark can make a big difference in terms of rarity and value. Coins struck in Philadelphia have no mint mark, while those struck in Denver carry a small D below the date, and coins minted in San Francisco bear an S. Although millions were produced, condition is everything when it comes to value. The vast majority of these coins circulated heavily during the war years, being passed from hand to hand as families bought groceries, newspapers, and rationed goods. Because of this, most of the surviving 1942 pennies are well worn, with scratches and faded details. However, if you're lucky enough to find a coin in uncirculated condition, one that looks almost as perfect as the day it left the mint, you're holding something truly special. Collectors prize these coins for their sharp details, rich luster, and historical significance. Even more exciting are coins with minting errors. Mistakes like double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks can turn an already valuable coin into something extraordinary. Error coins are especially popular among collectors because no two are exactly alike, and their uniqueness can drive prices sky high. Think about it, most people in 1942 never imagined that the pennies they spent so casually would one day be considered rare treasures. Yet today, with the passage of time, these coins are not only scarce in pristine condition, but also hold deep historical meaning. Every time you hold a 1942 wheat penny, you're connecting with the story of America during World War II, with its struggles, sacrifices, and triumphs. And now comes the part you've been waiting for, the potential value. While an average circulated 1942 penny might only be worth a few cents to a couple of dollars, those rare uncirculated examples or coins with special minting errors can command truly impressive prices. In fact, some of the finest known examples of the 1942 Lincoln Wheat Penny have been valued at as much as $82,000. Yes, you heard that right, $82,000 for a single penny that was struck during one of the most pivotal years in American history. It's incredible to think that a coin most people would overlook as ordinary pocket change could, in the right condition and with the right collector, be worth such a fortune. Today we're diving into a coin that carries with it both historical charm and collector appeal, the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1950. At first glance, it may seem like just another old copper penny, but when you peel back the layers, you'll discover that this small coin tells a much bigger story. From its design rooted in American tradition, to the fascinating mint marks, to its potential value today, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a true gem worth exploring. Stick around, because by the end of this journey, you'll find out just how valuable one of these coins can be if you're lucky enough to have it in the right condition. Let's set the stage. The year was 1950, and America was transitioning into a new decade. World War II had ended only a few years earlier, and the country was moving full steam ahead into a time of prosperity and change. Families were buying homes in growing suburbs, cars were rolling off assembly lines in record numbers, and the U.S. economy was booming. During this period, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was still in full circulation, a trusted coin that people used daily to purchase everything from newspapers to candy. But the 1950 issue, depending on where it was minted and how well it has survived, has become a favorite among collectors for more reasons than one. The design of this coin is instantly recognizable. On the obverse side, we see the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. This portrait was the first realistic depiction of a U.S. president to appear on a coin, and it remains one of the most enduring images in American coinage. Above Lincoln's head, we find the phrase, "In God We Trust," a motto that has stood as a symbol of American values for generations. To the left is the word "Liberty," while the right side bears the date, 1950, sometimes with a mint mark just below it. Each tiny detail carries weight and meaning, reflecting the nation's history and ideals. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted with the timeless wheat design that gives this penny its nickname. Two stylized wheat stalks curve along the edges, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top sits the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, which translates to, out of many, one. This simple yet powerful design emphasizes unity and prosperity, values that were especially important as the nation moved forward in the post-war era. Now, here's where things get especially interesting for collectors: the mint marks. In 1950, Lincoln Wheat Pennies were minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, Denver coins bear a small D under the date, and San Francisco coins show an S. While millions were produced overall, the mint mark and production numbers can influence how rare and desirable a coin is today. Collectors often compare these mintages to identify which ones are harder to find, and which ones command the most attention in the marketplace. But rarity isn't just about where a coin was minted, it's also about condition. The vast majority of 1950 pennies were circulated heavily, passed from person to person as they bought everyday goods. That means most of these coins show significant wear, scratches, and dullness from decades of use. However, when you find one in uncirculated condition, the difference is striking. A bright, lustrous penny with crisp details looks almost like a time capsule, a coin that seems untouched by history itself. Collectors place an enormous premium on coins like this because they're not just rare, they're pristine pieces of the past. Adding another layer of excitement are error coins. Mistakes at the mint, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks, make a coin even more valuable. Error coins are like unique fingerprints, no two are exactly the same, and because of their rarity, collectors are always eager to add them to their collections. A 1950 penny with one of these minting errors could command a price far beyond what you'd expect for such a small piece of copper. The charm of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny also lies in its connection to history. When you hold one of these coins, you're holding a piece of post-war America, a time when the country was reshaping itself and stepping into a new era of prosperity and growth. For many collectors, that connection to history is just as valuable as the monetary worth of the coin itself. Now let's get to the part everyone is waiting for, the value. While circulated 1950 pennies are common and usually worth only a few cents above face value, those rare coins in uncirculated condition, or those with special minting errors, can sell for staggering amounts. In fact, some of the finest examples of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny have been valued as high as $69,000, yes, you heard that right, $69,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that something once used so casually to buy small items could, decades later, become a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. It goes to show that in the world of coin collecting, history, rarity, and condition come together to create value that far exceeds the coin's face value. Today, we're going to shine the spotlight on a coin that has captured the attention of collectors for decades, the United States 1-cent Lincoln Wheat Penny from the year 1937. At first, this little copper coin might seem ordinary, just another penny that once jingled in the pockets of millions of Americans, but in reality, it holds a fascinating story of history, artistry, and value. And if you stick around until the very end, you'll discover just how much one of these coins can be worth today when found in the right condition. The year 1937 was an important chapter in American history. The country was still climbing out of the depths of the Great Depression, and Franklin D. Roosevelt was in the White House, guiding the nation with his New Deal policies. Families across the United States were working hard to rebuild their lives, and every cent truly mattered. In this context, the humble penny was not just small change, it was part of the daily struggle and survival of millions of people. It bought a loaf of bread, a cup of coffee, or even a newspaper, and it served as a reminder of how far a single coin could stretch during tough times. The Lincoln Wheat Penny itself was already a beloved design by this point. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was designed by Victor David Brenner. On the obverse side, you see the dignified profile of Lincoln, his face calm yet determined, symbolizing leadership, strength, and unity. Above him is the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left the word "Liberty," and to the right, the date, 1937, with a possible mint mark right below it. Each element of this design connects directly to the nation's ideals and values during a challenging era. Turning the coin over, we find the classic wheat stalk design, which gives the coin its nickname, the Wheat Penny. Two simple but elegant wheat ears frame the central inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. Above them, the phrase, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one, captures the spirit of unity that was essential as the country moved forward through difficult years. Even though the design is straightforward, it carries a timeless beauty and deep symbolism that collectors still admire today. But what makes the 1937 Lincoln Wheat Penny so interesting is not just its design, it's the mint marks and rarity. In 1937, these pennies were struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark, Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, marked with an S. While millions were produced across these mints, the number of coins that have survived in pristine condition has dwindled over time. The vast majority of these pennies circulated heavily, buying goods and services during an era when every cent was stretched to its limit. As a result, most of the 1937 pennies you might come across today show significant wear, with faded details and scratches from decades of use. This is where condition comes into play. In coin collecting, condition is king. A well-worn penny might only carry a small premium above face value, but a coin in uncirculated or mint state condition can be a treasure. Imagine a 1937 penny that still shines with its original luster, its details sharp and crisp, as if it had just rolled off the presses yesterday. Coins like that are incredibly rare, and collectors are willing to pay large sums to add them to their collections. Then there's the fascinating world of error coins. Sometimes, during the minting process, mistakes happen. A double die, an off-center strike, or a repunched mint mark can create a coin that is completely unique. Collectors love these kinds of errors because they're one-of-a-kind pieces that stand out from the millions of normal coins. For the 1937 Wheat Penny, such errors are highly sought after and can multiply the value of the coin dramatically. beyond condition and errors, there's the historical context that adds value. Holding a 1937 wheat penny is like holding a piece of America's story from the Great Depression era. It's a physical link to a time when the country was persevering through hardship, and each coin carried meaning far beyond its face value. That connection to history makes the coin not just money, but a symbol of endurance and resilience. And now, the part you've been waiting for, the value. While most 1937 wheat pennies in average circulated condition might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars, the rare examples in pristine, uncirculated condition, or those with unique errors, can command astonishing prices at auction. In fact, some of the finest known 1937 Lincoln wheat pennies have been valued as high as $80,000, yes, you heard that right, $80,000 for a single penny that once bought a loaf of bread or a cup of coffee in the 1930s. It's an incredible reminder of how something so small and ordinary can, over time, become a treasure worth a fortune. Today, imagine the thrill of discovering a coin from your pocket change, an old jar in the attic, or an inherited collection, only to realize it's worth far beyond its 1-cent face value. That's exactly the story behind the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Let's take a deeper look into the history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, becoming the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, quickly became iconic, with the obverse showing Lincoln's profile and the reverse featuring 2 stalks of wheat surrounding the words, 1 cent. By 1957, the wheat penny had been circulating for nearly half a century, and while millions were produced in both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, it is the rare, high-quality, and error varieties from this year that truly stand out. Collectors often search for coins bearing the 1957 D mint mark, struck in Denver, as well as those from Philadelphia which carried no mint mark at all. But what really makes some of these coins valuable are the conditions under which they were minted. A coin in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and strong luster can fetch impressive amounts at auction. Additionally, rare varieties such as double dies, off-center strikes, or coins with repunched mint marks add to the desirability of the 1957 wheat penny. For collectors, these imperfections aren't mistakes at all, they're golden opportunities, turning ordinary pennies into rare treasures. The condition of a 1957 wheat penny plays the most important role in determining its value. Coins that have been heavily circulated, showing scratches, discoloration, or wear, typically remain at or near face value. However, those that were carefully preserved over the decades, tucked away in coin albums or jars without ever seeing much use, can be worth significantly more. Mint state examples, graded by professional grading services, command the highest premiums. Collectors will pay generously for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, crisp wheat stalks on the reverse, and vibrant copper-red coloration. Another exciting aspect is the connection these coins hold with American history. Think about it, in 1957, the U.S. was in the middle of great cultural and political shifts. Elvis Presley's music was sweeping the nation, the space race was just beginning, and the civil rights movement was gaining momentum. To hold a 1957 penny in your hand is to hold a tiny piece of that era, a coin that might have been in the pocket of someone who witnessed these pivotal events. That historical connection only adds to the emotional value for collectors. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Over the years, some 1957 Lincoln wheat pennies with rare features and in exceptional condition have gone on to sell for amounts that surprise even seasoned collectors. Stories of lucky individuals finding a wheat penny in a drawer or coin roll hunting at the bank, only to discover it's worth thousands, keep the thrill of coin collecting alive. While many people pass these coins every day without a second thought, those with a keen eye know just how special they can be. So, the next time you come across a 1957 wheat penny, take a closer look. Check for the mint mark under the date. Examine the condition. Is the detail sharp, is there luster, or does it show unique characteristics? That little coin could be far more valuable than you realize. What looks like just 1 cent might in fact be worth a fortune to the right collector. And to give you an idea of just how valuable some of these rare 1957 Lincoln wheat pennies can be, one such coin has been known to reach an incredible value of $70,000.